So as you may or may not remember, we left off in the middle of a conversation. Because time. That's just how that is. There we go. Alright. So let's get all of the endings we're not going to call canon out of the way first, shall we? So let's see. That would be... Hang on, look at the list here. Okay. So you know, if I give up my source, I'll be a silent monk.
As I say, one last sacrifice is required. Yours.
You also... that your plan will mean there's no divine.
Good. You understand.
The world shall not know this. I shall return from the grave, a divine without power, yet all who desire power shall fear me. I shall carry the secret of my lack of divinity. Peace shall reign.
You know, while we're here, you killed a lot of innocent people at the Academy.
We already had more than enough Godwoken.
Another sacrifice I was forced to make. Those beautiful people. I was as kind as I could be.
No, it's a gift
I
bag.
promise you that.
Consulate. So how do you feel about Dallas's attempt to murder Alexander?
Alexander was Godwoken. Once, years ago, I should have killed Damien, but instead took him as my son. Quite the mistake.
It is your handiwork.
Now, I was forced to kill Alexander, my blood. But once more, I could not.
Which is funny, because that's actually a mistake in the opposite direction.
The task fell to me.
And me.
Okay, so, save. Also, I'd just like to report publicly that Dragon Age Inquisition is the worst-selling game of all time. Okay. Now, apparently I was wrong about that. I'm actually not sure which other game I was thinking of. Maybe it was one of the Neverwinter Nights. I don't know. Anyways. I'm right about Andromeda, at least, and Final Fantasy. Hey, Mr. Red. Okay, so. I've heard enough.
Then let us proceed. Show some responsibility, Father! Surrender your source!
You'll be a hero. Everyone will know of the sacrifice you'll make. Your name will be synonymous with the survival of Rivellon.
Don't let them do this to us.
No, I like Inquisition fine. In fact, I think Inquisition's overall a better game than Dragon Age 2. That was the point I was making, Jesse's Mask. Was that the quality of the sequel doesn't matter for the sales of the sequel. But I forgive you for thinking otherwise.
But our souls? There has to be another way.
No. Never.
So, first bad ending.
Good.
Yes. Very good.
She raises what looks like a leash. A chuckle emerges from beneath Vriedemann's hood. The chuckle becomes a guffaw, booming and hateful. Dallas flicks her wrist. And nothing happens.
Oh, Dallas. Sweet, simple Dallas.
How? What? The leash is cut!
So, you remember I mentioned last night, about 10 hours ago, to remember that leash that she uses to keep him in control?
A bright observation from a bilious imbecile. You know people often become sloppy when they're close to achieving their dream. You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me, pretending to be your slave.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon, and don't look so surprised. As if I would allow a bone bag to enslave me. Me! They thought themselves well in control, but there is only one master scheme that must come to fruition. My divinity! Or did you really think I'd play slavishly along with your ridiculous scheme, Dallas? Yes, I played my part of the servile stooge. But know this. It was only about the power of divinity.
Kill him now.
Too late, you mouldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally. God King, I call on you!
You're an idiot to ally with the God King, Brackus.
You would interrupt Brackus Rex? You would interrupt the Source King? You shall redefine suffering.
So, final boss fight. Now, this final boss fight can actually go a couple of different ways.
Here's my call.
But what's interesting to me is, unless this has been changed, there's only one actual win condition, and that's killing Brackus.
He sends a companion worthy of my power. Come to your father. Come to the Source King.
Try again. Wait. Isbale should not be here. Kim should not be here. The Saloman should not be here. What? Yeah, but I actually went out of my way to erase all three of these people, Golgrim. I mean, I guess they could just be simulacra. But that actually irritates me a little bit, because I actually specifically decided to erase all three of those people. 3 of the 5 people I erased. Or 6, whatever we're up to at this point. Oh, whatever.
Glory is mine.
Apparently, Disco. Who knew? That could be the second time we see an actual dragon in this game. We obviously didn't earlier. Of course, Brackus starts off at the opposite end of the universe from us. So we're going to spend an entire round just repositioning. Let's just straight up move this round. Hey, Tomas. Welcome to the final battle. Damn, Lucian's actually doing damage for once.
You're not trying to escape, are you?
I suppose that's fair about Falkenstein. No, Tomas. No big reveals. And definitely not the best plot moment in the entire game. Listen, Colgrim, it's not my fault he happens to be right on my target. If Lucian dies, well, oh well. I will actually freely admit I've always found this final battle to be just kind of okay. There's better designed combats in this game, in my opinion. Like, it's not bad, I don't think I'm gonna ding it, but it's just whatever. Yeah. Oh, wow. He has 300 health left. He gets to go next. He has 100 health left. There you go.
Brachus Rex, the Source King of Legend, lies dead once more, perhaps even for good. Dallis, badly weakened, looks to you.
Mass Effect 3, Mr. Red. Now, I don't remember how these choices work, so that's why I'm grabbing another save here.
The future of all that is depends on you, and you alone.
Listen, this is it. Again. And I want you to know I'm not putting up a fight, not against you. My revels are now ended. Yours are about to begin. I've had my vengeance, my life and my liberty. You helped me win them back. And then, when we made love,
We didn't do that.
all of me awoke.
We literally didn't do that.
All I want now is for this to end. To be by your side when we wage the final battle. And long, long after.
Don't worry, I got your back.
I know there will. Now kiss me.
You kiss each other passionately, ready to face the darkest dark.
Yes. Is it? I can hardly believe it.
She casts her gaze around the crypt in awe.
After everything we've been through, after everything we've seen, here we are. Here I am. And now that I see godhood before me, I know what I have to do. Chief, you need to ascend. There's no one I would trust with this responsibility but you. I know you'll do what needs to be done, what ought to be done. And I know you'll do it with style.
Don't worry. We'll get rid of the demons, too.
They'll never know what hit them. Now go on, shoo. You've got business to attend to.
Here we stand, once more on the cusp of divinity. But this cup, so long thirsted for, I willfully let it pass from me. All my life has been a lead-up to this, to be the King of Kings, God of Gods. I will not say it was in vain, but I will say it was vanity. If I were to chance upon my throne right now, I would sit down beside it, cast my glance to the horizon, and think of worthier things. I'd think of Sadher, my great love. I'd think of my children, their joyous dance through fiery skies. And of course I'd think of you. of the adventures we had, of our unlikely yet heartfelt friendship. Yes, I'd sit there, thoroughly contented, and wait for you to ascend the throne.
It has been an honor traveling with you. Sorry about watching you have sex the one time.
I know.
A mischievous smile.
But I do have to add, likewise.
You think back on your journey here, on all that you have seen and done.
Wait.
You think of the Magisters, and the sorcerers they hunted, and of the good and the evil on both sides. You think of how the Eternals came as Voidwoken to reclaim their stolen world. You look at the source around you. The power is immense. Divinity at your fingertips. You think of what you could do with such power. The rights you'd wrong, the wars you'd win. You marvel at your journey and how it has changed you. You think of those you left behind, and of those you met along the way, who stood by you or against you. It's time to choose your fate, and the fate of all you hold dear. What shall it be? Shall you be divine?
Okay, so, save. So the first thing we're going to do here, obviously, is we're going to give divinity to the Doctor. And now the Doctor and I rule the world as the Divine of Light and the Divine of Darkness. We easily and effortlessly crush the demon armies. However, what immediately erupts is the greatest and bloodiest war in the history of the realm, as we then immediately start fighting each other. Or, the God King wages war on Rivellon as we decide to choose the God King and assent to and acquiesce to his rule. The mortal races are completely overwhelmed and then enslaved by the Eternals in a new era of suffering. Or, we choose to free the Eternals. I think we've kind of already walked away from this one, so I can't actually show this one. We choose to free the Eternals, but not the God King. And thus the Eternals enslave all of the mortal races. But also the Eternals now rule as an egalitarian society. Now, I think... I just saved, but I think we could show off this ending.
A cloud of purest black breaks through. The chill of death, then its very visage. The pale skull at the heart of the void. This is the God King himself.
Not one! There is not one who will choose divinity.
Oh, I suppose this is that ending.
They have power within their grasps, but they fail to take it. These races truly are inferior. Victory is mine. My people! The world is ours once more. The reign of thieves is at an end. These so-called races will be our slaves and our food stock. For we are the truth. We are the real. We are eternal.
It's on the website, Mr. Red. Yeah, I was gonna say.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken.
What?
The Eternals returned to the world. In the eyes of the God King, Fane was redeemed. He returned to his studies. Dwarves, elves, lizards, and humans all became slaves, ruled over by the Sworn and the Eternals. The God King had defeated the Seven and returned from the void. Relics of the old world remained, but in time they crumbled and fell, like the memories of the peoples who had built them, lost to time like sand in the wind, but not lost to Fane. Fane would never forget. This I know, because Fane is now my master. My task? To chronicle the rise and fall of the Godwoken. This was their story. Master, I hope you approve.
So anyways, that's the bad ending I just described that I thought we actually were incapable of picking.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask.
Hang on.
Well, here we are again. Get an eyeful. It isn't going to be easy. I don't know how I could have been so wrong about you. I'm never wrong.
Okay, yeah, no. She is Wow! It isn't even gonna be easy cleaning up the mess you made. It might not even be possible. You shouldn't speak that way to a disciple of the God King.
A cruel smile spreads across her lips.
Tell your God King he'll have to send much more than you to silence me. Until we meet again, all the best to you.
You know what? I actually can't talk to my companions. I literally can't face them in the face of this betrayal. I'm sorry. So let's just rewind here, if that's okay. Like, that's some whiplash right there. So anyways.
After all that you have been through, and all that you have done, all that you have become, the Aeteran lies in front of you. Divinity is yours to take, or to sacrifice. What you do next decides your own fate, and the future of the world. What shall you do with Divinity?
I guess we can choose this ending. Sorry. Okay, I thought we were being locked out of it. Alright, so. Let's show the Fane unique ending. Deja vu. Still not going to talk to this ending, by the way.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. The Eternals reclaimed the world. Dwarves, elves, lizards, and humans all became slaves, ruled over by the Sworn and the Eternals. Relics of the old world remain.
Oh, it's just a truncated version of the other one.
Fell, like the memories of the peoples who had built them, lost to time like sand in the wind, but not lost to
Okay,
fate.
yeah, so. How would I compare the Fakos in this setting, compared to deities in other settings? Well, I know you weren't here last night, Trihexia, where I spent a solid 20 minutes impassionately ranting about how horrifically evil they are and how they're one of the most evil things I've ever seen in fiction. So I suppose that answers your question. You could also watch just the end of the previous VOD if you'd prefer. I don't feel like repeating myself is all that worthwhile. Okay, so those are the two extremely bad endings. So now we can... 2 is the ending I want, right, Colgrim? Like the last ending I want to do? Just to make sure I'm remembering here. Okay, so we'll go ahead and allow ourselves to be purged first. And 2 is the ending we'll see everything of.
And so it ended.
Deja
A
vu.
tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. Dallas the Hammer, the secret Eternal, purged the Godwoken and used the Source to close the veil to the void. The world was saved. Statues in memory of the Godwoken who sacrificed their Source were erected all across Rivellon. They would never be forgotten. The half-demon Malady took pity on the soulless, god-woken silent monks and brought them to the Hall of Echoes. There, from the scraps of their souls that remained, she restored them to life. Sorcerers no more, they lived out the rest of their lives, freed of the burden of being the god-woken. Freed from the weight of the world. As for me, the god-woken sacrifice severed the link that bound the sworn to the God King, and I was finally free. To atone for my sins, I spent the rest of my days taking care of the sick and elderly, telling the story of the god-woken, that the world may never forget the greatest heroes Rivellon had ever seen.
This is arguably one of the two, what I would consider good endings. There's a third decent ending, which is the next one we'll show off, but this one is an acceptable outcome, I think. Compared to the Eternals enslave everyone, or the God King enslaves everyone. And I do believe this is the canon ending, because it kind of has to be, since there's games set after this, where the Source is gone. If you're paying attention, the consequence of this particular choice is that Source has effectively been removed from the planet. It's kind of the FF6 thing, right? You know, magic has left... I mean, there's still magic, but Source is gone. So... we will talk to Malady.
Malady stands tall and proud, sunlight sparkling off her mask. From here, she looks almost angelic.
Ah, there you are. More than a silent monstrosity, less than a god. In the end, I'm not totally convinced it was worth my while to restore your consciousness, seeing what you've done with it so far. Where did I go wrong?
Oh yeah, nice little touch. Jesse's mask, that's a good thing to point out. You notice we literally don't have Source in our character bar anymore. So how did you save me, Malady?
How is so boring. It's the why that surprises me.
Probably Pokemon, Octaft. But, by the way, as a fresh reminder, we will be streaming BlizzCon this evening. 5 p.m. EST. As a further reminder, if you have not voted on the floodgates, this is your last chance. As soon as this game ends, we'll be tabulating that, and I'll be closing the vote.
Unfortunately for me, I've grown rather fond of you. Still, I'd expected quite a bit more from you. I was interested in being owed a favor by a shiny new god, not some emperor of the realm. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask, covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. Enjoy. I certainly plan to do the same.
No kidding. So what are you planning next, Malady? I plan on being in a sequel that will never actually happen.
Oh, I don't know. Around and about. Treat myself to some mead, a level 300. I'd say we've earned it. Perhaps our paths will cross again. Perhaps not. Until we find out.
We're never getting that freaking sequel, are we? Something about that irks me. I'm sure Baldur's Gate 3 is nice and all, but frankly, I'd kind of rather have, you know, Divinity 3 than Baldur's Gate 3. The results, I'll list the results live, Zactaf, unless you haven't voted already. In which case, I'll send you a whisper, because I have to do that manually. Now, I'm not going to talk to them again. Again, we're only talking to them in the chosen ending. See, the thing is, Leander, most of the world would agree with you, not with me. So, you are correct. Most people would rather have Baldur's Gate 3. That's probably why they did that. That's probably the source of that choice. One moment's act out. Make sure you have whispers on. Hello. Come on, Twitch. Come on, Twitch. There we go. Woot woot. You do not have that much time left. It's just happening in Baldur's Gate, Loner. That's all. It is a Forgotten Realms CRPG, so it's called Baldur's Gate 3 instead of Neverwinter Nights 3. Those were the two choices. And they're clearly going for the nostalgia angle by making a new Baldur's Gate instead of a new Neverwinter Nights, and probably because certain members of the studio who work at Wizards would rather not have two Neverwinter games going concurrently, so...
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again.
It is good to see you. You have been a rather dependable ally.
I will always be an ally to those that carry swords, to those whose blood is of the heroes of old. And so, as always...
You don't have to tell me, Zactep. I'll see the results in a bit. Make sure you... Remember, you can vote for more than one thing. That's the whole purpose of the system.
I am at the ready.
You look out to the endless beyond. The sun's light plays upon the waves, just as it always did. The sails flutter in the wind, just as they always will. And yet, something is different. You are different. And with a start, you realize where you must go next. You speak the command to the Lady Vengeance, and another chapter begins. At last, the world was at peace. As the races united behind Lucian, Arx remained the center of power. The ancient Lizard Empire opened its gates. The houses disbanded, and the Empire adopted a pluralist quasi-democracy. Anyone could vote for whoever they pleased, as long as the House of Shadows approved. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork.
Dwarves.
Lucian made amends to the elves. He gave them lands and vast riches from the coffers of the old divine order. But the elves never forgave him. They would not trust humans again. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came together once more. The island of Fort Joy, the old redoubt of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest crops.
Ew.
A particularly crimson-fleshed orange grown on the island became a delicacy across half the world. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a center of industry, trade, and transport.
Then became a city-state, then started calling itself Rome.
You would never forget Dorothea's kiss.
Oh.
Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss.
Apparently I do not have the
She
perfect
never
kiss.
found it. although once or twice she came close.
For all the people who are hungry for me, or thirsty for me, apparently I'm not that good.
The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arx became a great metropolis, famed for its prosperity, its culture, its diversity, and the willingness of its denizens to stab each other in the back for the slightest advantage.
I was going to say, this is the city where lots of people sold their souls to a demon, by the way.
Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with peace, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking.
Okay.
Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors.
Then the drugs.
Almira and Mihaly settled down on the farm. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. She presumed she had them in thrall. The truth was, they just liked her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to
How do I
call
make
upon.
a sequel to this
And
game?
so her search continued.
And thus she would be in Baldur's Gate 3 instead.
Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again.
Also to be seen in Baldur's Gate 3.
Ahu the Wizard became one of Lucian's most trusted advisors once more. He always knew that something had changed in the divine. He never discovered what that was, or, if he did, he never said a word. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. She founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering the last of the undead shelter from fortune hunters, novelty seekers, and ghouls.
I never actually destroyed her soul.
Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. He made a fortune. Lucian returned as divine, united the races, and became Lord Emperor of all Rivellon. Only Dallis knew that he was entirely powerless. Dallis and you. The Eternal, now known as Dallis, was a secret advisor to Lucian and to his successors. For eons she would walk in the world, and would outlive the peoples and all, and wander alone amongst the dying stars.
Okay.
Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became Emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. In a world of peace, you could live forever. Your future was yours to decide. But you were a sorcerer no more. Did you accept your new status with gratitude, or did you rebel? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
Okay, hang on. And then the dragons take over the world. The end. Wait. I was actually just looking up how we divvied up positives in Dragon Age Origins. For some guidance on that, Colin. But I am leaning towards at least a positive. Well, since Fane didn't exist in Divinity Original Sin 1, probably not good for life. So, I become the new Divine. Yeah, I'm kidding, Colin.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. A new divine rose, a true heir to the Seven, more powerful than ever, and united Rivellon in its battle against the Void. All across the realm he was loved, worshipped, and adored. Humans, lizards, elves, and dwarves all rallied to his banner. The great allegiance stood once more, but the war continued. From the depths of the void, the God King still sought to return. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken claimed divinity. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine. I cling now to the dream that one day the veil will be sealed, that one day I can be freed, that one day a new Godwoken will rise.
Malady stands tall and...
Well, here we are again. You, me, and the ship I've saved from ruin for your personal benefit. I'd say you owe me, but why state the obvious? Let an eye fool, Your Holiness. I expect it's the last we'll see of each other for some time.
She turns to you, arms crossed, and grins.
Look at you. Magnificent. Don't I know it? Let's hope it pays off.
She fingers the mask, covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it, but instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. I sacrificed much. But I'd give even more to see you become exactly what you've become. Soon, I'd like to have a little chat about something you can do for me.
It's called Baldur's Gate.
But I believe that can wait. Relax. Enjoy. Oh, I don't... And when the time... You're...
I'm just saying, it has always irritated me. Since I was very young. No, I'm not talking to the companions yet. It's always irritated me since I was very young. When something obviously and overtly sets up a sequel and then doesn't pay off. That has happened so many times in history. And it just aggravates the crap out of me, especially when I actually care about the work in question. To use probably my personal favorite example, that do you know how hard and long the wait was between Brood War and StarCraft 2? Keeping in mind that there wasn't news about a StarCraft 2 for nigh unto a decade.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak. I am at the ready.
You look out, and with a start, war raged on. Arx remained the center of power as the races united behind the Divine. But the Voidwoken attacks continued as they did elsewhere. Arx would see many more long years of war. The ancient empire of lizards became one of the pillars of the new Divine Alliance. The Houses of War and of Shadows were particularly useful in the fight against the God King. The Empire used the war to expand its territory.
Yeah.
With Justinia dead, the Dwarven Kingdom descended into chaos. But although they did not join the Divine Alliance, many joined the fight against the Void, and did their people great honor in battle and in death. With Lucian gone, the elves reluctantly rejoined the Divine Alliance. Their place in the war on the Void would entirely depend on the integrity of the new Divine. And on the integrity of the elven Godwoken who did not ascend. And here and there, across the world, what was left of the Black Ring fought on. The island of Fort Joy remained a sorcerer's paradise, a place of exile for those whose sorcery threatened to bring in the Void. For their well-being, its residents depended entirely on the benevolence of the new Divine. Reaper's Coast struggled on. The farms and the fisheries fought to feed the people against the Voidwoken blight. The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood teetered on the edge of starvation until the night the Voidwoken came from the sea. All were killed. This did, however, put an end to the famine. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Arx battled on. Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with ongoing war, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han grew up a warrior and became one of the Alliance's greatest generals. But even he could not win the war. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With a new Divine at the helm, Malady had a powerful ally, but she was in no hurry to call in her favor. After all, it might be the last thing she ever did. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again.
Into Baldur's Gate.
Ahu the Wizard served the new Divine with honor, wisdom, and an at times unnerving feline elegance. The undead priestess Gratiana remained in her sanctuary, happy to wait for the war to pass. She was troubled only by the silence of her goddess. Jehan the demon hunter never stopped hunting for demons. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. On his return to the Empire, the Red Prince was hailed a hero. He married Sada, and they had many more dragons. Soon, the prince became the emperor. Faced with dragons, the Void did not gain the upper hand in the Empire. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as the Divine's premier musician. Dark moods would still overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You, Fane, the eternal divine. What did you do with your power? What kind of divine were you as the world battled on? Did you show mercy or strength? Did you sacrifice others as Lucian had done? Did you regret becoming divine? Did you wish you'd surrendered the power that runs through your veins and sealed the veil? Only you know the truth. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
So, before we go to what is probably going to be the actual ending, you'll notice that there's a pretty big gap in tone between that ending and the you surrender your source ending. The you surrender your source ending, enduring the fact that it's the canon ending, is clearly framed as the good ending. You know, the golden ending. You actually surrender your source, the veil is sealed, the void is gone, and everyone prospers, and everyone's doing great, and everything's happy and awesome forever. You'll also notice that ending was the longest by a decent margin. There's one last ending, however. Yeah, they really push the you probably should have picked the other ending thing. Sure, Colgrim, we have time. Yeah, Dallas was right the whole time, and that's how things should have been. You should have just... The sorceress should have gone away. You should have accepted being a mindless monk at the beginning of the game. And that's one of the reasons that ending kind of irritates me and why I don't personally choose that one. Even though it is clearly the happy ending, it really feels like, congrats, everything was for nothing. It's like, thanks. Oh, here we are. I think. No? I don't remember how to fight Lucian. Help me out here, Colgrim. Yeah, they totally frame it that way, Guido. Which, again, just kind of irks me. Okay, so I think this is the save I want, then. I think. I think.
Then let us proceed.
Show some...
You'll be a hero.
Don't let them...
No, never.
So, try and take my source. It'll cost you your life.
I understand. Sacrifice takes courage, but I shall help you. Though it pains me, your sacrifice shall be made for you. Dallas.
I'm sorry. You've come such a long way, but there is too much at stake. This is the end.
Now, I could be misremembering here, but I remember reading about a little tidbit that if you actually kill Brachus here, it still counts as an ending. I don't know, I could be misremembering. Like, that's the trigger to push the fight forward. You notice he also has all the health there and all the stats. But, you know. Let's just do a whatever burger here. Yeah, I saw that black file. Nothing good. I mean, Take-Two was already horrible. And EA is EA. But Active Blizzard getting even worse is not something we need in the world. Well, that's been a long and hard fight, Juniper Rowan. But about friggin' time. Where's Anathema? Oh my god, my inventory. I put it in your inventory. Yep, there it is. There's Anathema. Boop. I don't have enough. Yeah, let's just do overpower. See what happens. Actually, do I have... I do have more armor than him, so it will erase his armor. Oh, wow. Didn't get him, though. Having to pay to access a store sounds ridiculous. Now think about how many stores actually do that in real life. There's at least a few. Mostly the higher-end, rich, exclusive places where you have to buy to have, you know, the rights to even go to the store and pay there. Costco's a little different. Costco doesn't bother me. I'm talking more like the snobby places. It's gonna take all four. Screw it! I'm pretty sure you don't need the online pass to access the store on the Switch. You do need wireless, you need the internet, but... I mean, yeah, you do need a Switch to access the Switch store. Actually, that's not true either, technically. I'm pretty sure you can buy Switch games online, just like you can with PSN. Did we kill someone? We killed the Geist. What's he at? He's down to 2,000. I'm tempted to kill Lucian first. By the way, notice our good friend the Red Prince is now unarmed. I could actually probably kill Brackus this turn. I like how it still calls him Friedemann, by the way. But I kind of want to kill Lucian. Oh, he still has the bucket. Sir Buckethead is ready to go. Yeah, it would have taken me another round to actually one-shot Brackus, which I totally could have. But again, that would have taken me another round, so... Meh. Yes. Oh, absolutely, Mr. Red. He will be known as the Bucket King. And you might think, well, that's just silly, but I want you to actually think about this for a second. How many kings could be so powerful that they could still rule even while having a bucket on their head? It's a sign of his power that he doesn't need a big fancy crown. now we're gonna have the Bucket War. Which didn't actually happen, let's not go there. It's actually taking a little bit too long, but whatever. That's funny, Dimashi. True, Juniper Rowan. Very true. Can we speed this up, please? I mean, I know the only reason this is taking so long is because I insisted on killing Lucian, which I have now succeeded at. So, with that out of the way. Yeah, Lucian probably should be erased from reality. I wouldn't argue against that. Oh no, she could do this one. Get out. You ever have one of those really, really rich desserts, Black Vial? It's like 4 kinds of chocolate, and it's got frosting, and yeah, that's what it would taste like. I don't rail against the ending, I just think it's not that good on Falkenstein, even though it's clearly the canon correct good ending. That's all. I've seen worse endings in gaming, believe me. I've played BioWare games. Yeah, Mass Effect 3, duh, but also Dragon Age 2, and Neverwinter Nights Vanilla, and, Mass Effect 1. Oh, hey! Onslaught.
I am Brachus Rex. I am the Source King. You shall not seal the veil, and I shall not be struck down.
I actually like Dragon Age 2, Juniper Owen, but its ending sucked, in my opinion. And yeah, Inquisition's ending was kind of until Trespasser, which did a much better job with it.
I call on the God King. Come, claim what is yours.
How? What? You are unleashed!
Friedemann cackles in delight at this turn of events. His unbridled glee slithers into your veins and throttles your heart.
You left the leashing wand next to me, you stupid maggot. So accustomed had you become to me pretending to be your slave.
Oh yeah, Baldur's Gate 2, while we're on the subject of not good BioWare endings. Now, credit where credit is due. Hordes of the Underdark had a pretty good ending. And... there's got to be another one other than Dragon Age Origins. But I can't think of one. So Dragon Age Origins and Hordes of the Underdark both had good endings.
Kill him!
Do shut up, you tedious buffoon.
Seriously, you're dead, Lucian.
So surprised. You should have listened. I am Brachus Rex. I am the Source King.
Hey, Lucian, was this part of your plan?
This is not the time for talk. Kill him, now!
I would, but you're on the ground unconscious. Oh, whatever.
Too late, you mouldering, blight-stained pigs. Grant me power, my ally.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. I mean, Deadfire is an Obsidian game. I was specifically trying to think of BioWare games that had good endings.
The God King hears my call. He sends, come to your father. Come to the Source King.
I mean, I liked Odyssey's Zalok, so we'll see if we get there. What don't I like with Mass Effect 1's ending? I mean, I talked about it during the lore run, Jesse's Mask, but I feel like it's a complete narrative. Like, I don't know. I guess it's just me expecting the wrong thing, but it feels like a Hollywood schlock action film ending, which isn't necessarily bad in its own right. I will actually admit that. It's just, I would expect that kind of an ending in a schlock action film, you know? It also is really short. But then again, Mass Effect 1 and 2 both have that exact same problem. Like, Mass Effect 2's ending is, we're alive! And the Reapers are awake in space. The end! And that's like it. It's like, what, 2 minutes total? Oh yeah, I forgot about the KOTORs. Although I guess there's only KOTOR 1. KOTOR 1's evil ending isn't bad. I talked about that during the KOTOR review. I actively dislike KOTOR 1's good ending, as I've already explained. I think I gave it a negative. I love how we're still fighting Lucian and the Divine group, in addition to Brachus here, by the way. Yeah, exactly, Blow Felix. Mass Effect 2's ending is to be continued, which is fine. It's why I'm willing to give Mass Effect 2 a pass, and I don't list it as a bad ending, but I also can't list it as a good ending, because it really is to be continued. And it's no, you know, Back to the Future 2. Who are you? Ah. Just cuss 4's ending. Let's not. Are you blind right now, Thane? Yep. Okay, that's cool. I'm cool. Well, I got a couple hits in with that. That really wouldn't surprise me, Zalo. Let's see here. So we've got... Now, I don't remember Shattered Steel's ending. I'll go ahead and admit that. really just want to get on with it. Let's see. There it is. Where are my friggin' scrolls? There they are. No. I don't remember if it changes the ending to have smacked Lucian. That's the only reason I have him. Please let me rest here. No, what? Why are you walking? Okay, if it doesn't change anything, then screw it. Let's just get on with it. So, final ending. Give the source to all the people. Release divinity into the world. When everyone is divine, no one is. This and the canon ending are the two I kind of bounce between as far as preference. And admittedly, which one I pick tends to depend on my mood. Each time I played this co-op, I've let them decide, though.
And so it ended. A tale that began with my own ill-fated attempt to rid the world of the Godwoken. When the dust settled, no new divine had risen. Instead, all source was released into the world for all the people and every creature to share. Everyone was now a sorcerer. And united, the peoples of Rivellon pushed back the God King into the very depths of the void. This ushered in a new golden age of peace and prosperity. But alas, it was not to last. With many greedy for wealth, power and position, the struggle soon began anew. Source, the very language of creation, was used in violence once more. The never-ending contest for power continued. As for me, my last hope of ever being freed of the God King's terrible tyranny faded when the Godwoken failed to seal the veil. An eternity of pain and suffering is mine, in service of the King, until the day I am freed, the day the God King returns.
So you can see how they framed this as also a bad ending. Again, the whole, you're supposed to pick this one ending thing, which I already talked about. But this time we're actually going to talk to everybody.
Malady stands tall and...
Well, here we are again. Get a knife. I have a lot of planning to do. Now that there's not to be a new divinity.
She drums her fingers testily on her crossed arms.
All that work, all that effort tossed into the gutter like a malformed child.
I mean, don't you think the world is better without an almighty tyrant?
You say that now. Let's see how you feel when you realize the true implication of a world filled with sorcerers. Never mind. I'll find another way. I always do.
She fingers the mask covering her face. For a moment, it seems as though she's about to remove it. But instead, she places a hand on your shoulder.
We've come a long way together. I did my best by you all the way. Sacrificed much. And I'd have given even more to see you fulfill your destiny.
She looks you up and down.
I guess this will have to do. Take a moment, why don't you? Relax. I certainly plan to do the same. Oh, perhaps up until we've...
Okay, so. Red. Sir Buckethead.
Well, well, look what the cat dragged in. A Godwoken. But what good is it to be Godwoken when Source is now a free-for-all, and there is no divinity to be had?
I mean, now everyone can do good by Source.
Don't fool yourself. In the absence of a master will rise. King, God, there is still power to be had. As long as there is power, there is conflict. Source for all, it is but the dream of an idiot, who will soon wake to find his wrists in shackles. In that sense, I suppose I should look upon it all as an opportunity. People crave authority. They'll beg for a sorcerer king like me.
A second Brachus?
Please. I'm not a dilettante.
He sighs. which seems to ease his surly countenance.
But come. We've travelled too long by one another's side to end with an argument. We'll not part on bad terms, will we?
Yeah, I know, Zalog. I'm actually warming up to a negative for this. Also a positive, but a negative because this is really slanted. Like, I mean, I'm fine with there being a bad ending, and I'm fine with there being a good ending. I'm not sure I'm fine with there being, like, 4 bad endings and a good ending, you know? This is really slanted. So where are you headed?
Home. After all, I've dragons to raise. I need to teach them to be good boys and girls before they set the entire world on fire. There may be an accident or two along the way. Can't be helped, I'm afraid. I do so long to see my palace again. The Forbidden City. The sense of spices and incense. The sound of sitars in far-off rooms. To sit all day in perfumed shade and watch the white of the marble change with the journey of the sun. But above all, I long to be with Sadher. Long to finally have the time to love.
Hugs.
Oh, but before you go, remember how when we first met, I took you by the jaw to inspect your teeth?
Almost forgot that, yeah.
Not something one forgets in a hurry. Now, if you'll recall, as per your own testimony, you can groom, but alas, you've no culinary skills whatsoever, and you lack a sense of fashion. Far from ideal.
I do remember that.
Still, I'm nothing if not a tolerant man who believes in individual growth. I'm sure the journey taught you much. As such, I'd like to offer you what I denied you before, the opportunity to become my slave. What say you?
Done.
Well, that's settled then. You're very welcome to my house indeed. We'll feast and reminisce. But in the meantime, my boots are not going to clean themselves.
You escaped an abominable prison and confronted the king of all gods only for Divinity to slip your grasp. A rather poetic arc, don't you think?
Hang on. What do you have for sale? Let's see here. Actually, can I have your money? Yeah, there we go. Thanks. So, what are you up to next?
Now that I am clear of mind and free of intruders, I'm wondering if it isn't time to share my learnings with the less enlightened. And to that end, I have a few ideas worth considering. Once I've come to a conclusion, I promise you'll be the second to know.
Thanks, John.
Until we meet again.
A world full of sorcerers. That's quite a thing. But don't worry, darling. You're still special to me.
Thanks. So how you doing now that you have your freedom back?
Reform my ways. How adorable. No, I'm afraid I cannot escape who I am and what I've done.
Her eyes flick down to your mouth. She smiles coyly, then slinks forward to kiss you.
No.
Almira pouts in disappointment, but it quickly morphs into a devilish grin.
Oh, no matter. We'll always have our first kiss. I haven't been quite able to put it out of my mind. Just as I'm sure you won't be able to put me out of your mind.
I can't seem to go 5 feet without a woman wanting to sleep with me.
Who knows? A nice cottage someplace quiet for Mahalia and
It's
I.
like high school over
A
again.
roaring fire and a feather bed. Maybe. Maybe. But a girl needs some fun, doesn't she?
Apparently, Mr. Ed. Sorry, I need to AFK really quick. I'm not going to mute it, because supposedly I just got a package, which is really weird if it's true. Anyways. Hey, Beast.
Beast's spirit smiles as you approach, and begins to sing a tune you think vaguely familiar.
Here the wild beast just sails on the ocean. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. Off on the yawn you hear the commotion. He's docked in the bay and coming your way. The cupboard can't hide you, nor can your berth. His daggers don't care about the gold that you're worth. He'll bury your bones neath a mountain of earth. He's docked in the bay and coming your way.
He pauses, then continues to hum, all the while working his ghostly whiskers.
I feel weird, like I've got ants crawling in my belly. There is a matter I must attend to, however. My payment for all the stuff I've done for you.
He taps his fingers and mouths silently while he counts, until he arrives at an acceptable figure.
1,300,000 dozen and 50 gold pieces. Now pay up.
But I only used you once. Also, it's not a real number.
It is so. But if you can't pay me in money, then I'll just have to insist you keep me on until you can. So, what position can you offer?
How about a spy?
Han ponders your suggestion for all of a second.
Okay, I love being all sneaky and shh. Well, yeah. But you'd better believe the bill for that will be a doozy.
Source of all, eh? Bold move, I'll grant you that. I didn't think anyone considered the little people anymore.
So what do you think of the new world you helped usher into existence?
I don't know yet. Perhaps peace will reign and all will be equal. Or perhaps you've bestowed great power on undeserving children and turned them loose on each other. Time will tell, I'm sure.
What are you going to do next, Tarquin?
That is the question, isn't it? How does one top the greatest feat of necromancy ever conceived? I might have the answer to that. Tell me, have you ever heard of Gustavgen?
I was going to make an Order of the Stick joke, but...
No, of course you wouldn't. It's a written language, unreadable to most, but myself naturally. It comes from a mysterious race from another world. Beings that feed on minds.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I intend to seek them out. This Gustavgen seems to guard portals to their realm. And once I've uncovered one, well, why settle for being the greatest mind in just one world when there's another for the taking?
I actually hope he is in Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, we were already deprived of Ciri being in Cyberpunk. Come on.
Well, well, Quirkers. Look who finally graced us with their presence. I suppose some thanks are in order.
I mean, you don't have to thank me for anything.
What? No, you should be thanking me. I just saved the world from the Great Acorn.
Of course he shouldn't. Absolutely. She shouldn't, Von Wolfenstein. Ciri should never be in Cyberpunk. That would be too logical and too awesome.
You're welcome, by the way. Honestly, Quirkers, some creatures have no sense of perspective.
Forgive me. Thank you for your service.
A huge grin slowly spreads across the squirrel's small face.
Of course, had you not stopped this God King and his lackeys, there would have been very little left for me to save, so...
The cat moves forward, twisting around your legs and filling the air with the sound of dry, dusty purring.
Ah, Quirkers! Please, have a little decorum.
I scritched the cat.
Quirkers arches his back, almost dislodging Selora, who just smiles.
This battle is won, my friend, but we still have a war to fight. We've undone the Great Acorn, but the Knights of Dre are still out there. They summoned the Great Acorn once. They will be able to summon it again. We have to destroy their order, once and for all. That is the future Quercus and I have ahead of us. We no longer need a shield, but we are very happy to have a friend.
Aw, ruffle, ruffle, ruffle.
The squirrel tenses for half a moment before relaxing into your fingers.
Oh, hi, Quercus. You never told me it felt this good. Well, that was certainly an experience. Of course, this has all been something of an experience, eh?
Yeah, I never dreamed I'd end up here.
I don't suppose any of us did. I never thought I would be proud to have befriended a giant. But there is no one Oh, Quercus! There is no one that we would rather have walked this world with. I do not know what comes next for you, but you will always have a friend in the forest. Come, Quercus. We must... Oh, I think you have something in your eye, my friend.
The cat curls up and snuggles into his squirrel friend, who quietly sits and sniffs on the deck.
Sorry about you dying sometime. I still don't know exactly when you died. And yeah, I'll just not do the VR Zactap, that's all. There he is.
I'm buzzing. I don't know how else to describe it. But what you did, I want to say it was brave. Maybe it was, but it wasn't right.
Gareth is still. For a moment his mind wanders to memories of friends and enemies, of Malady and Magisters, of demons and divinity. He is then present once more, though hardly animated.
The people of Rivellon will call you their savior. The power is in them, in all of them. And there will come a time when they rebel, and the price will be high.
I mean, I gave them the gift of equality.
Equality. Power shared among both the evil and the good. The light and the dark. The sky and the earth. Equal source light, yes, but not equality.
Sure, Nevermore. You could also whisper me on Discord or on Twitch, and those are the only real options, to be completely honest.
You've blessed them and cursed them with a single choice. You didn't reveal your altruism. You revealed your greed. I find a way to fit. I wasn't just content to lurk in Lucian's shadow. I was his shadow. Now I stand in the sun as my own man. I just don't know who that man is. So I find out, on my own away from the storm that surely comes. The God King is defeated, but the door to the void is open, left there by the man I once thought would be divine.
I mean, do I need to make my point at this point?
Hey there, Chief. So, a world full of sorcerers. What do you make of it?
I mean, this place is going to change pretty severely.
I suppose it will. Never hurts to shake things up a bit. Spice of life and all that.
How are you feeling, Losa?
I don't know if anyone's free of anything, once and for all. But I'm bloody thrilled to be here now. Just me, myself, and you, of course.
What are you going to do now?
Get loot, play loot, get glad.
That's a good plan.
So, Chief, I guess this is it, right?
Yes, but I won't forget you ever.
You say that now, but who knows what adventures and redheads life will throw at you?
I've only been with like 2 redheads, so...
Whatever it is, you'll ace it.
As she turns from you, the whites of her eyes darken, the veins in her face go grey, and a wicked smile curls her mouth. Suddenly it's gone again. She winks, and you're left wondering whether you saw anything at all.
See you around.
Yeah, I remember that, and being irritated by that.
So, here we are. Sorcerers like everyone else in the realm.
Gareth isn't the only problem here, Caspian. I mean, maybe it's just me. I don't know. It's worth noting, just in case I haven't got this across, I like the other ending. If I have to repeat myself, the canon ending and this ending are kind of tied for my personal preferences. And which one I pick depends on my mood at the moment, right? So these are my favorite endings. But going through it this time especially makes it, especially immediately adjacent to each other, is making it really clear that one ending is being heavily slanted as the correct one, and the other one is not. Like, that can't just be me. And even if it is, screw 'em!
A bit boring to be so unexceptional all of a sudden, isn't it? Then again, I suppose they can't fit all of us in Fort Joy.
Oh God, it was forever ago.
It does, doesn't it? Good times, though. We've come to the brink and back again so many times on this adventure. I only hope what awaits the world is something more equitable. Bit more sun, bit less rain. Even though I love the rain.
So what are you gonna do now?
She looks around at the blue skies and seas, smiling.
Whatever I like.
She puts a hand lightly on your shoulder and pulls you toward her.
Wait, I'm not comfortable with this.
We have shared times both good and bad. Times beautiful and ugly. I won't forget them. Not for anything. Don't be a stranger now.
Well, let us conclude, Nate.
It gives me almost as much pleasure to speak to you as it does to be whole again.
So, you're awesome.
I will always... I am at the ready.
You look up, and with a start, the world was at peace, at least for now. With its significance as the seat of divinity diminished, Arx fell into decline, and within 7 generations had emptied. Few were as prepared for the new world as the lizardkin of the ancient empire. With power spread equally throughout the world, the advantage lay with those who knew how to steal it, and at this the lizards excelled. With their queen dead and the Voidwoken gone, the dwarves held the greatest party in the history of dwarfdom. A new king took the throne, the local brewer. 6 days later, he was stabbed to death with a mutton fork.
By the cook, who took over.
With their power returned, the elves reclaimed their lands from the Death Fog
How?
and began to rebuild. Soon they would split as 2 factions sought power. One to bring back the trees, the other to bring back the scions. A dwarven joke did the rounds. It ends with the punchline, "So Lucian dropped the death fog on them again."
What?
Only the elven Godwoken could bring the elves together once more. And in a dark forest on the far side of a desert, well beyond the high seas, the Black Ring came
Yeah, so
together
this always happens because Damien, Black Ring, and sequel. Kind of, whatever. Doomed by canon.
The island of Fort Joy, the old redoute of the Source King Brachus Rex, was turned over to the people of Driftwood to use as they wished. They turned it into a holiday resort. Reaper's Coast prospered. The fisheries returned, and the fertile farmlands produced the greatest harvests the surviving farmers had ever seen. Blood Moon Island became particularly fecund, its soil producing the greatest
Still
crops.
grows.
A particularly crimson flushed orange grown on the
La
island
la 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 la
became
la
a
la la
delicacy
la la
across
la
half
la
the
la
world.
la la la. Okay.
The black pits took fire. The oil there burns still. Driftwood became a center of industry, trade, and transport. You would never forget Dorothea's kiss. Dorothea herself left Driftwood for the ancient empire, ever in search of the perfect kiss. She never found it, although once or twice she came close. The nameless isle had vanished. Although only open water remained, by instinct ships would steer clear. None of the captains could articulate why. Millennia later, adventurers would come in search of the legendary divine city of Arx and the crypt of the great Lucian. None would pass the path of blood.
Still there, apparently.
Sir Gareth thanked the surviving Seekers for their service and gave them their freedom. Disillusioned with the rising chaos, he set out alone to find a new purpose. He would never stop seeking. Young Han went into the theatre and became one of the realm's most popular actors. Almira and Mihaili settled in an abandoned homestead. The locals liked and respected Almira. She never wanted for help, and deals always fell to her favor. Outsiders were often suspicious, but no local would speak against her. With no new divine, Malady found herself in a predicament. She had an important problem to solve, but no ally strong enough to call upon, and so her search continued. Having performed the greatest act of necromancy in history, Tarquin found the new world unchallenging. He became obsessed with rumors of another plane of existence. One day he vanished and was never seen again. With the source released to the world, Ahu the wizard spent more and more time as a cat. One day he decided he would not change back. With Amadia silent, the priestess Gratiana left the swamps and re-entered the world. With more undead than ever before, she founded an abbey in the Dragonspine Mountains, offering them shelter from hatred and fear. Jehan the demon hunter found himself at a loose end, so he opened a museum of demonic artifacts. After it burned down, with Jehan inside, witnesses claimed that the flames were the color of blood. Sabine wandered the world. She became a household name, famed the realm over as a traveling hero, celebrated wherever she went. Enjoying life to the fullest, she was truly and finally free. The Red Prince came home a hero. With Sada, he had more dragons. Soon, Prince became Emperor, one who would not use his dragons for conquest. His realm knew peace, and the world did not burn. Lohse returned to her music and enjoyed a storied career as Rivellon's premier musician. Dark moods would at times overtake her, and she would spend long hours walking in the wilds. She always returned with a new song. And then there was you. You returned to the world a sorcerer among many. Your future was yours to decide. Did you accept your new status with humility? Only you know the truth, you and one other. But of him you are free. The God King no longer calls your name. He no longer whispers your shame. Only you know if you atone for your sins.
So, the end, as they say. Ah. No feelings whatsoever, Pika. Although it's already on the list. So that has been Divinity Original Sin 2. Yeah, this is a very, very long credit sequence. I was actually not one of the backers for this game. I didn't even know about it until entirely too late. I mean, I played DOS 1, but I think I played DOS 1 after the backing for DOS 2 already happened. Like, I stumbled in late into the entire Divinity series, to be completely honest. So, very, very good game. Few flaws here and there, of course. If I'm being completely honest, I am a little bit surprised by how many gameplay negatives we came up with, but I was rereading them during that ending, and I don't really have any quarrels there. If anybody has any other suggestions for positives or negatives, this is probably a good time to mention them, because otherwise I'm going to go ahead and tabulate. Also, this is easily our best reviewed CRPG ever, and, so, you know. It's good to know that the opinion I have stated by memory is true after analysis and review and discussion. And I say that weirdly because quite often, as I've said many times, my opinion tends to change or be mutated as a result of going through with analysis and discussion when it comes to these. So let's see, that's... I can't add for some reason. 21, I think? Yep, plus 20... That can't be right. No, that's right. Plus 21, plus 21. That is funny. That's an amusing score. Remember how we were thinking about coming up with a metric to determine how much of a spread it was? And ideally, the more in the middle, the better the game. Well, here you go. Here's a game that has plus 21 net to both story and gameplay. Until we come up with other pluses, which, you know, I have already challenged you to do. I'm not going to give a plus for music, I'm sorry. I don't think it's particularly well directed. I think the combat music gets actually boring. And there's only 2 songs that really stick out for me, and I'm not willing to give a plus to gameplay for 2 songs. Yep, DOS 2 is the answer to everything. Who knew? Double checking my notes again, but yeah, no, that sounds about legit. It's really a damn shame, though. If not for the inventory and the animation slowdown problem, the gameplay would crush even more than it already is. Now, I brought this up out of comparison idea here, so let's pull something up here. So in terms of story, this would put this up alongside Red Dead Redemption 2, Earthbound, and Final Fantasy VII. In terms of gameplay, this puts this up there with Kingdom Hearts 3, Super Metroid, and Twilight Princess. In terms of overall, this is currently tied for the 4th best game in terms of overall points. That is way up there, but honestly, that doesn't bother me, and I totally stand by that statement. This is a very good game in my opinion, and while I was legitimately tired of playing it by the end, as I already talked about yesterday, that's entirely due to the negatives, which are dragging the gameplay score down. Yeah, Witcher 3 and Dragon Age Origins have a higher overall score, but both of those are sitting entirely... No, Ventures. Are sitting entirely on their story axis. DAO has only a plus 10 to gameplay, and Witcher 3 only has a plus 6. Gameplay-wise, Shovel Knight is absolutely crushing everything else still. And I stand by that. but also has effectively very, very lesser story score. Another game that would contest this on the gameplay axis is like Final Fantasy V, which barely has any story positives, or Super Mario Odyssey, or Mario Galaxy 2, you know, etc. I think one of the only... In fact, no, I think the only RPG that actually surpasses this, that isn't FF5, would be Paper Mario 2. This is an excellent game. I stand by that. And yes, this game is on the Switch, which I guess I can uninstall now, since I decided to just endure the crashes. Oh, speaking of which, what were we up to? It looks like 9 crashes total. I need to make sure I jot that down. Could be worse, but 9 crashes is still unacceptable, which is why that's still a negative by itself. I actually don't have much else to say. I feel like if I was to give like a generic thing, I think the biggest narrative flaw of this game is that there's this nice big morass of just kind of whatever in the middle. It's not bad, but it is mostly filler, in my opinion. And that's why this game doesn't have the story axes like, you know, Dragon Age Origins or Witcher 3. Because there's a lot of what is effectively just kind of filler content. Not bad, but it really just feels like you're running around doing adventuring stuff without any particular goal or end in mind. And this is yet another reason why I think the move to Baldur's Gate 3 was a perfectly good move, because it feels like what they wanted to do was make a go play D&D game. Because that's kind of what this is. I mean, yeah, there's a main plot, but you get my point. Go play D&D. And the freedom is absolutely insane in this game, as we've discussed many times. Since I would like to get something done before the BlizzCon stream tonight, let me go ahead and chop off the local recording.